YouTube. This is Rogue Decks for the Win. You might also know me as One Card Short 73 and the Dual Mechanic. This is going to be my first video on this channel for Rogue Decks for the Win, and it's going to be a profile of my Tech Genus Swap deck. It is completely original, I believe. It has some potential to be really, really good, and in my honest opinion, that you can splash in a number of different synchro monsters and just completely own the competition. So without further ado, this is Tech Genus Swap. Alright, first up we're going to do the monsters. We have 3 copies of Tech Genus Warwolf. Really good special summon engine, good for getting out synchro monsters. Next up we have 3 Tech Genus Jet Falcons. Very good tuner monsters. You tune you synchro summon with it, you deal 500 damage to your opponent. Next up, 3 Tech Genus Catapult Dragons. Really good for getting your tuner monsters out in your hand. Really good for special summoning. And as you know, Tech Genus is all about special summoning. Next up, we have 2 Tech Genus Strikers. Really good for, it's just like a mini Cyber Dragon. You have no monsters your opponent does, special summon it, and with any luck, you have a Warwolf in your hand, you can special summon him just as well. Next up, we have Tech Genus Rush Rhino. He is a beater that can have up to 2,000 attack points when he attacks during the damage step. Next, we have 2 Mystic Tomatoes for special summoning your Warwolves. Next up is 2 Belial, the Marquis of Darkness. He is good for the sole purpose of, there's a lot of Evilzar, Dino, Rabbit decks out there. This, when he's on the field, your opponent can't target your other effects on the field because Belial is the only one who's a monster that can be targeted while he is face up by effects and as battle. And he has a really great attack power of 2,800, so he's really good to have out there, and you'll always be able to make the tributes considering how fast these monsters move. Next up, we have 2 Cyber Dragons. You know what this guy does. Really powerful monster. Special summoning if you have no monsters your opponent does. 1 Giant Rat. This is mainly for Tech Genus Catapult Dragon. You special summon it, and then you special summon a synchro, or a tuner monster I should say, and the circle continues. Next up, add a little power to Tech Genus monsters. Tech Genus times 300. All monsters gain 300 attack points for each Tech Genus monster on the field. Your monsters, of course. Next up, 3 Tech Genus times 1 Half-Life. Half one of the attack powers of one of your Tech Genus monsters and destroy 1 spell or trap on the field. Next, 3 Creature Swaps. Getting into the core strategy of this deck. Creature Swap. Have your Tech Genus monster's attack power and then use Creature Swap. It's a +1 play. Next we have 1 Enemy Controller. It's basically the same principle. Use Tech Genus times 1 Half-Life, then sacrifice your monster. You've already used it, so take control. Next we have Shrink. Your monsters aren't very powerful, so you're going to need this, and it springs a really good trap on your opponent, even though it's not a trap, it's a quick play spell. Next we have 1, 2, 3. Tech Genus 1, Enemy Monster 1. You know what it does? Swap control of 1 Tech Genus monster and 1 of your opponent's monsters. Really good. Now some recycle cards. Tech Genus times 3, draw times 2. Just like it says. Return 3 Tech Genus monsters in your graveyard to your deck, then draw 2 cards after you shuffle. Recycle and draw. Win-win. Next, 2 Nordic Relic Brisingamen. One of my favorite traps. Increase your monster's attack power by the same amount as your opponent's attacking monster, making the battle result in a draw. Really good trap to spring on your opponent. Next up we have 1 Ceasefire. All your monsters are effect monsters. You can deal a little extra damage and then swarm for mini attack. 1 Widespread Dud. Use Tech Genus times 1 Half-Life and destroy this. You can just have your monster's attack, but destroy 2 of your opponent's face-up attack position monsters when you destroy them. And finally, Mirror Meld. The same principle as Brisingamen. Increase your monster's attack points by the same amount as your opponent's attacking monster, and it results in a draw. Now, as you can see, this deck has no synchro monsters. Well, the synchro monsters are your choice solely. But I would suggest using Catastor, Brionac, Trishula, Stardust Dragon, and maybe throw in like some stuff for getting extra level 1 monsters out and using them for Formula Synchron so you can summon your Shooting Star Dragon, or use the Tech Genus Synchro monsters themselves and you can use it to Synchro summon for a Shooting Quasar Dragon. This deck is really, really fast and incredibly powerful when used properly. Your opponent's monsters become your monsters and your monsters become theirs, which means they're weakened while you're strengthened. And with Belial on the field, your opponent can't target your monster's effects except for Belial. So, all your monsters are safe and you have a 2800 boss monster on the field. What more could you ask for? So, that's it for this edition. Like, comment, and subscribe. So until next time, this is Rogue Decks for the win, telling you, don't buy into the meta, be a rogue.